why am I getting fired? Why are my videos getting taken down, and why am I getting strikes? Like, I'm about to lose my account. I was assaulted. I'm the victim.
Oh.
I lost my job. I'm the victim.
Okay.
This TikToker recently went viral for posting a video of a DoorDash customer of hers who was asleep on his couch in his living room from the waist down. And after going viral, she decided to go to the police about the incident, saying the customer sexually assaulted her.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no, dude.
Even though he was asleep the entire time that she was at his property. Since then, TikTok took down the video and all replacements that she tried to upload. DoorDash fired her as one of their gig workers, and she was arrested for 2 felonies: unlawful surveillance of another person and dissemination of said unlawful surveillance. And now on December 4th, 2025, she made her first court appearance for her arraignment. And despite the fact that she self-snitched all over the place in her various TikTok videos about this whole incident, at this arraignment, she pled not guilty. And from what it looks like, the only real defense that she has is by continuing to double down on this idea that she's a victim of sexual assault. We'll talk about why that is, and we'll talk about why this means that looking down the road, one of 2 things is likely to happen. Either she's going to go through some kind of difficult character development and a process of growth and maturation where she ends up taking some kind of a plea deal, which means that she takes responsibility for her actions, of course. Or she's going to dig her heels in until the end of time and 100% get convicted and end up with a worse sentence simply because she refused to give up on her deluded self-victimization.
I'm going to choose the last one. Because based off of the video that I just saw, I can tell you this right now. I know who she is without even knowing who she is. I think all she's really missing is like the septum piercing and the blue hair, guys.
She takes that path, she could end up as the poster child / cautionary tale for why you really shouldn't go through life seeing yourself as a victim of the world. Let's get into it. Okay, so if you need more background on this topic, we recently put out a video talking about the whole subject from top to bottom. So if you haven't already seen it, feel free to check out the video linked in the description below. Also, side note, you may have noticed that after moving in August, we finally got our stuff. And only about a month late after it was supposed to. MrBoyd and I have been using an air mattress this whole time, and let me tell you, I do not recommend doing that for like 3 or 4 months. Anyway, I've been hard at work over the last few days getting our home organized, but at least my office is done enough so that I can start filming videos again. There will likely be more changes to the background behind me, but at least for now, this will do. Anyway, let's talk about this latest court appearance. But first, I do have to thank this video sponsor. We all have that person who is so hard to buy for, and that can make Christmas
I respect
for reals this time. Let's talk about what happened with the DoorDash Girl's court appearance. So really, the only thing that's changed now is Olivia Henderson, also known as DoorDash Girl, has now been arraigned, and she entered her plea of not guilty. And I guess I'm not all that surprised that she went with a not guilty plea at the outset, because that's pretty common, actually. Even in cases that don't really look great for the defendant, is sometimes there's enough there that by entering a not guilty plea, you can retain some amount of leverage for a plea deal where you might be able to get some of the charges or penalties removed or lowered. If prosecutors have bigger fish to fry, for example, they might be more likely to negotiate a plea deal that the defendant might not otherwise get if they just enter a guilty plea from the outset. That said, there also is a benefit to pleading guilty if you think that your case isn't likely to win at trial. That's because when it comes to sentencing, judges typically will use their discretion to assign a lesser punishment where they can if the defendant pled guilty as opposed to letting it go all the way to trial. And the thing is, if Henderson...
Guys, I always felt like that felt like, corruption. I'll be honest here. This person here is saving the taxpayer money, so hold on. What if we just give them a lesser charge, if that makes any sense, lesser of a punishment, just because they decided not to waste taxpayer dollar? Guys, that feels like corruption. I'll be honest.
This case does go all the way to trial. I think that her chances of winning are slim at best. To explain that, let's first talk about what the prosecution needs to prove with these charges. As a reminder, there are 2 of them. The first is unlawful surveillance, and the second is dissemination of unlawful surveillance. Now, the second one is basically where you do all the things for an unlawful surveillance, or you know that an image or a video was obtained through unlawful surveillance, and then you take the additional step of selling or publishing it. So with that, let's dig into unlawful surveillance since it's needed for both of these charges. Here, the state is charging her with a violation of subsection 1 of that statute specifically. And under subsection 1 of the New York Penal Code section 250.45, the prosecution has to prove the following. First, the defendant intentionally, surreptitiously recorded/broadcast another person. Second, the defendant recorded that person while they were dressing, undressing, or otherwise revealing their intimate parts. Third, the defendant did this when the person had a reasonable expectation of privacy. Fourth, the defendant did all of this without the person's knowledge or consent. And finally, the defendant recorded the person for the purpose of another person's amusement, entertainment, or profit, or for the purpose of degrading or abusing him. So looking at all of this, element 1 is easily met. Absolutely. We know that Henderson recorded the DoorDash customer because that's what went viral on TikTok after all. We also know it was an intentional recording. It's not like she happened to be vlogging her work or something and a man walked into the frame behind her and she didn't intend to record him. She saw him there on the couch and decided to take her phone out and record him.
Guys, I'm sure you've seen all those gym videos of like people saying that there's some guy that's staring at me. And it's like, bro, they're not staring at you at all. They may have glanced in your direction because they're situationally aware specifically of what's around them. So they glance in your direction. It just so happens that, your camera caught them at that specific moment while they were literally scanning the location there. It sounds like that. It sounds just like that. It sounds like those people who make those videos saying that all men are basically terrible and creeps and things like that. It feels like that. That's what I'm basically mentally experiencing while listening to the story. Again, she's definitely dismissing the blue hair and the septum piercing.
That's up.
Second, we also know that the recording included an image of him from the waist down. I'm not showing that part of her original video for obvious reasons, but it is out there on the internet. And not only that, but Henderson also told TikTok that she showed the video she took to the police after she finally reported it, and she also emailed it to them after that.
And they sent a police officer over to speak to me in person and watch the video that I have. And then he asked me to email it to him, and he asked me if I want to press charges, like what do I want to come from this? Of
course they asked.
So they have the video sent directly from her, which means that it's going to be impossible for her to fight these first two elements. Anyway, then there's a part about the man's reasonable expectation of privacy. Now, for one thing, Henderson acknowledged again to TikTok that there are issues of privacy here. In fact, she said that the reason that she hesitated to call the police was precisely because he was in his own home.
Exactly.
I didn't report this to the police last night because I wasn't sure of DoorDash's process for SA or if this was even reportable to the police in New York State because he was in his home.
Now, of course, her whole point is that she maintains that his door was wide open when she approached and that you could see him from the doorway. So I imagine that she's probably going to dispute this element. I mean, she'll probably say that he didn't have a reasonable expectation of privacy because his door was wide open. But I, of course, also have to point out it has been reported that the police said that they reviewed the man's ring footage showing his front door. And according to police, the door wasn't wide open when she walked up. She let herself into the man's home. So if they do in fact have the footage and it does depict what is being reported it depicts, then yeah, she's pretty cooked on this element as well.
Completely.
Then there's the fourth element, recording a man without his knowledge or consent. If you've seen the original video, yeah, he looks pretty unconscious. Now, she claims, of course, that he laid there specifically because he ordered and then saw that his DoorDasher had a female name. And this is to suggest that he wanted to be seen somehow. However, the fact that the instructions said to leave the food at the door says otherwise. And honestly, I don't know what facts she even used to concoct that theory because there is nothing in the original video that can suggest anything other than the fact that he's just totally passed out on his own couch. And for this element, the prosecution is likely going to call the man as a witness to describe his night, how he got drunk, what he remembers about ordering DoorDash and undressing and laying on his couch to sleep. And he'll likely say, no, I did not consent to anyone taking any photos or videos of me while I was sleeping on my couch. So based on what's publicly known, I think this element is likely to also be pretty easily met. So out of these 5 elements, she's pretty cooked on the first 4 so far. And now for the 5th.
Bro. And then she posted it on the internet. Right? You understand this here. Like the concept of like publishing and then immediately trying to get some type of profit or some type of notoriety specifically from it. Like she honestly thought, how about this here? She knew her base, right? Like she absolutely knew her base. She knows who she's consistently seeing on TikTok, how they deal with things and their own specific victimhood, right? And she's completely bombarded with it. So she's like, yeah, this makes sense. Right. I feel like this happened to me, even though I created it for myself. But you get what I'm saying here. You broke into this man's house and took a video of this man on the couch. And what? Somehow you are the guilty. You're the victim here, guys. This is wild.
This is where the prosecution has to prove her intent in filming him. And the thing is, usually intent is one of the hardest things to prove in any case. That's because it requires digging into the mind of the defendant. And that isn't always so easy. But unfortunately for Henderson, she opened her mouth all over TikTok and made this element way easier for the prosecution to prove. Now, obviously, she says that she recorded him because he sexually assaulted her and that she was recording it so that she could report him. Now, for starters, in my last video on this topic, I did lay out why this can in no way be considered any form of sexual assault. Just not in this reality. But she might argue that although this doesn't meet the legal definition of sexual assault, that she as a layperson had some kind of reasonable belief that he was doing something illegal to her.
On purpose?
It's not exactly a perfect defense, but I can see a defendant making a mistake about the law like that and not actually intending any harm by it. But unfortunately for Henderson, she has a number of big problems with that defense, and all of them are documented on TikTok. Number one, and I talked about this in my last video, she uploaded the video to TikTok first and only went to the police after a bunch of people commented on her viral video to convince her to report it. If the purpose of recording the man was to gather evidence about her assailant to provide that to the police, her first move should have been to go to the police, not to upload to TikTok. So right there, she already has a huge problem with using the "I was reporting sexual assault" claim. And to be clear, if there was someone who did record for that purpose and they did go to the police and only handed over that recording to the police, that would be pretty clear evidence of their intent. And specifically, their intent to report what they think is a crime. But the timing of her events just says otherwise. Second, she has talked way too much about this whole thing on TikTok, and in so doing has revealed her true intent for posting the video there. At least what appears to be her true intent.
Let me hear it.
For one thing, there's monetization. In one of her rage videos, she goes on about how TikTok not only took down the video, but also, by taking it down, prevented her from making any money from it.
And they took down my video. They were going to have to pay me for my second story time because that was over a minute long. They were going to have to pay me for all those views I got. So nope, they took that right down. They took that right down. Absolutely not. They're not paying me for that. Nope.
Good. And the big problem for her is that this self-snitch fits very neatly into that final element for unlawful surveillance. Specifically, it shows that she posted the video to TikTok for the amusement, entertainment, or profit of someone other than the man she recorded. I think any reasonable person would look at this whole situation and say that she intended it for all of the above, especially for her own profit, given what she just said in that clip. But wait, that's not all. There's also the possibility that the prosecution can prove that she also fits into this intent element because she posted the video to TikTok for the purpose of degrading or abusing the man.
Like, this is the only justice I'm getting, is exposing this man and having posted that video and it has gone viral. Like, now he can live with shame and embarrassment if people have seen it and knows who he is or where he, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm the one being punished.
Oh yeah, I'm suing you civilly also. Understand this here immediately. Right, I want legitimately at least 70% of every single dollar you make for the rest of your life.
He's not getting in trouble with the police. He didn't lose his job if he has one. Like,
why would he?
What's going on with him? Why am I getting fired? Why are my videos getting taken down? Why am I getting strikes? Like, I'm about to lose my account. I was assaulted. I'm the victim. I lost my job. I'm the victim. Right? Is this making sense to anybody?
So yeah, if she's going to really try to press for a finding of not guilty, all the way to trial, she has to double down on the idea that the man sexually assaulted her. Because otherwise, thanks to her endless desire for internet attention, she couldn't let the incident go, and she had to keep running her mouth about it. And now, as a result, the prosecution has just about everything they need to convict her on unlawful surveillance, and by extension, dissemination of an unlawful surveillance. Because of course, we all know that she's the one that posted the video to TikTok, and so, if the state proves that she actually did commit unlawful surveillance of the man, proving dissemination will also be super easy. So at this point, she really has two options. Either try to negotiate some kind of a plea deal, which means dropping the claim that she was sexually assaulted and actually taking accountability for her actions, or she can continue to beat the self-victimization drum all the way to trial in the hopes that she finds an entire jury of people who are willing to ignore logic to somehow agree with her that she is in fact the victim here. Like I said, if this goes to trial, I don't think that this will end very well for her. And if she's convicted at trial, as opposed to entering a guilty plea, the punishment is actually likely to be much harsher than if she does in fact change her plea to guilty before that point. But those are my thoughts. What do you think?
Okay. What do I think? Let's see. I'll tell you this right now. I do think that she's not going to back down because she can't. I think it's too late. I think that she's gotten a good amount of followers specifically from that video that think just like her. Again, the individuals that go to the gym and perceive all men in the gym to be basically staring at them and doing all types of crazy, wild, nefarious things. I think that's what's going on here. I think that she is so stuck within her echo chamber that she actually perceives that anything anyone does that has a different, let's say, chromosome base as her does is nefarious and evil. You were supposed to drop the food off, take a photo outside and leave. Okay. I've literally never even looked at who the person delivering things are to me is. I've never done that. That's what I'm asking. Is that a thing that everyone does? Because I've never done that. I just leave the food right there on the step, take a photo of it. I see it in the app. All right. You've already tripped at least 20, security cameras. So I know you're there. Right. But just understand that I've never actually looked to see who was delivering anything. Okay. I think that she's walked around this world within her echo chamber of anti-man things, right? And this is not just an assumption here. I think that that's what it is, pretty much based off of it may be an assumption. It's my own specific opinion and assumption based off what I just heard here. I've seen and encountered people like this, and they seem to always have the same overall echo chambered mentality, right? So I'm not surprised that she's fighting the concept of accountability. It's everyone else's fault, not mine. Listen, drop the food off at the door and leave. All right. I tipped you in the app. Please. I don't even want to have a conversation with you. Just leave. Right. But instead, what she did was walked up to the property, looked through the window for some reason, and then apparently opened the door and then took video of this man basically drunk, passed out, unclothed on the couch here. And then posted it to the internet to basically prove to her echo chamber that, hey, listen, finally something happened to me. I'm the victim. Look at me. Right? That's the vibe I get from this person here. That's it. And I basically understood her story. I kind of knew exactly who she was kind of within the first 20, 30 seconds of hearing her speak. I knew exactly who she was. I know who all of her friends are. Right. I know the closest, 3-4 people to her. That's what this is here. That's it, guys.
Guys, do you want to watch movies with me? I never actually thought to promote it over here, guys. But if you guys do want to watch it, guys, we have hundreds of movies. And I mean hundreds of movies that we've reacted to. You guys can come watch them with me if you want to, along with, many TV shows. Currently, we're working on the show Dexter, along with Vikings. And we have a lot of series that are already completed. But if you guys do want to watch it with me, the link is in the description. Everything's available at the second tier. But of course, if that's not your thing, guys, don't worry, right? Listen, like and subscribe.